Chapter 52, in which Princess Kitty's story finally ends. Grandpa Jack stopped to catch his breath with his grandchildren next to him, as Princess Kitty leads them to the forest, just outside the city limits. "Please," he said, "where do you think you'll take us? Could you at least tell us where we're going?"
"I have no idea, for starters,"
she said.
"However, you have no idea how serene this place would be, especially with the great wolf of the forest here."
"The great wolf? What's this great wolf?"
"She is a goddess of the ancient world, with a body so ginormous, it easily towers over me."
"And should we be afraid, Kitty, when this wolf is as big as King Kong?"
"We shouldn't, for she protects all life in this forest."
"I still can't believe you would do something like this, laying those monsters upon the city, after you've been accepted as a part of our society."
"I'm not talking about this anymore with you."
"No, Kitty," he snapped. "We're talking about this now. Can you even imagine how much damage they would cause out there? I suppose that means we'll be living in fear for the rest of our lives. Other people, fresher people, are destined to fall in the days ahead. I don't know whether or not—"
"You think I don't know that?"
she demanded.
"Do any of you think I have no other choice?"
He stepped back, his hand grasping his heart. The entire family fell silent, except Audrey, while she was holding back tears.
"I really don't,"
Princess Kitty went on.
"Before my appreciation day, I keep trying so hard to think, what could I have done differently? It is a compromise from Ryotaro, the Queen, and the yokai. One that I cannot refuse. Just think of what would happen if I say no. Too many times I've heard that proverb."
"What, Kitty?" Grandpa Jack asked. "You expect another disaster in Kodono caused by them, which you have brought."
"If I didn't keep my promise, Kodono will be gone, erased from existence, as do the rest of you, especially my friends," she snapped. "That will leave only the yokai and myself. It will be like such a city like Kodono never even existed."
Grandpa Jack can see the dark irony of it, then swallowed in a dry throat. "So, Kitty, in order to stop this, you gave them your word to let them take over?" he asked.
"The threshold has already been crossed, the instant Kodono welcomes me. Because of them, my destiny has now been fulfilled."
"At what price?"
"I'm just as afraid as you and your family."
"Kitty," he said softly, "I want you to know that I have lived a long, productive life. Even though I will not live long enough to see the yokai take over everything, my grandchildren would."
"Not just Ta and Audrey, Jack. Any friend of mine who's younger than you, the grandparents, or any elderly person. Mr. Copley, Professor K. Boom, Leola and her baby, Gif. May heaven help them if they had the audacity to get on the negative side of the yokai, especially the mayor and his council and the police."
"In spite of him once driving you away from Kodono, I'm beginning to feel sorry for Donovan back on that platform when they started taking over," he said.
"Well, you should, because in a few moments he's going back to the hospital, and in critical condition this time."
At those words, Grandpa Jack froze and stepped back in horror. "What?" Todd gasped.
"I've seen what's been happening to him after we left him in the fairground,"
she said. "Through Mirame," Grandpa Jack realized. "Tell me what happened to him."
"Karasuju wanted to make certain that Mayor Donovan will not go into exile unscarred. I even allowed the yokai to continue degrading him.
You what? Grandpa Jack snapped. Is that why?
He will not be having a second term as mayor. His fate is now in the hands of the monsters I've brought to this world. And don't bother in going to see him in the hospital. The yokai won't let you.
Do you think he's going to die in a hospital bed? Grandpa Jack demanded. At least tell me that!
There's only a 0.5% chance he would live, Jack. His fate is like a flip of the coin, depending which side landed first onto the ground. If he lived, he will go into exile, with the scars that will follow him for all time. If he died, then later on, I shall hear a voice announcing to all Kodono, "So ends the life of the mayor who drove away Princess Kitty." That's the only thing he'll be remembered in death. The mayor who once drove away the One. What the Crow Beast had done to Donovan is enough to send a clear message to all of mankind. I had to let him.
You let the Crow Beast attack Donovan after he planned the entire celebration for you, even though one of his friends was left in charge?
And the other yokai will do the same to those who oppose them. The only way to make sure such suffering and torment won't come to pass is that humanity and yokai must coexist, not just in Kodono, but all the corners of the earth. Humanity must get along with the yokai. Humanity must treat the yokai as an equal. Humanity will forever abide by the proverb. You have no other choice if you don't want to live in fear in the days ahead. It would be fruitless to argue with them about it, especially the Queen. I don't think she'll go easy on you. She always begrudged your kind. Don't expect things to go back to the way it was before I first came here.
Todd spoke up softly. Kitty, there has to be something in the forest for you to find, isn't there?
I will keep trying, be that as it may,
she said.
Clearly, what I expect to find for me is a domicile of solace, of supremacy, just as long as I don't forget you, even when you grow up.
That's when Grandpa Jack thought of something. Sure, if this is your first appreciation day, and knowing that it won't be the last, I wish your family is here to celebrate with you. Then she stopped at the faint sounds of trumpets.
My father!
What? He asked.
He has come to us!
She exclaimed.
I can already feel his presence.
Sure enough, the trumpets get louder as the royal family of KAWAII Wonderland can be seen walking towards the company. Grandpa Jack knelt before the king. Your Majesty, he said. You should have been here, Your Majesty. There was a celebration in the fairground. The first annual appreciation day for your daughter. Can you believe it? Oh, but the monsters. They're... King Cat raised his hand. We've heard, Jack. Alas, there is nothing we or the kingdom can do about it. Even I can't stop them, nor bring forth divine intervention on them. It's the only way your city will continue to thrive. From this day forward, as consolation, you shall be rewarded with condolences if anything bad happens to both you or your family. This is our compromise to you. And what about everyone else in Kodono? Grandpa Jack asked. We shall do the same to them.
No, Father,
Princess Kitty said.
I will.
King Cat turned and stared at her. You, he asked. My daughter. Are you sure to wish to take this burden?
I've caused all this misfortune to Kodono. In order to protect the people from the hostility of the yokai, I will not leave this place. This is my sacred covenant. I consider Kodono a prison, and myself a prisoner with pink hair, holding the greatest power ever harnessed in the universe. But at least Kodono will be a prison, where I can go anywhere I like.
And do you think the yokai is willing to make a covenant to let Kodono prosper for you to abide by, as long as you don't leave.
They already have. They're listening to every word I've said, especially the Queen. I know her too well, Father. I know what she's like. Resenting mankind for their disbelievability after they get their head out of the clouds and grow up.
Very well, my daughter. So let it be done. If this is the only way for Kodono to live and be forever spared by their wrath, so be it. We will not intervene. Queen Feline stepped forward.
Kitty,
she said, there is no need to be upset any longer. We're already so proud of you. Against the odds, you have fulfilled the destiny your father has given you from the beginning, by achieving success in being welcomed in this world.
Yes,
he said.
However, this isn't the reason why we come here, just to praise you.
Then why are you here?
Princess Kitty asked. We came here so we can give you a home, Queen Feline said. Can you do that? Todd asked.
My child, if she chooses to live in solitude, she could be a giant ball of frustration with nothing to do,
King Cat said. It's the least we can do for her. Then the sound of the trumpets blare out into the trees again. There are explosions of light and sound all around the company. Eventually, a gleaming white crystalline palace appeared in front of them. The Pratchett's, even Princess Kitty, stood in awe at the structure. Dear God, would you look at this? Grandpa Jack exclaimed.
Now that she has her palace of supremacy, I'm sure it'll do fine. All with food, furniture, her friends, and your grandchildren,
Queen Feline said, smiling. And me? Grandpa Jack asked. Absolutely, King Cat said proudly. Todd stepped in. But what about the rest of your whole family? King Cat said. Make sure you tell them when you get home.
The kingdom shall be with her, as long as our people never forget her,
Queen Feline said. Of course, she might need someone of royal blood to keep her company, King Cat said. Lucky for her, we found the right one. Sure enough, Princess Kitty and the Pratchetts look up to see a purple bubble hovering down and landing in front of them before it dematerialized. Walking towards them was a fine, handsome prince of blue blood. However, he wasn't half cat like the princess. In fact, he was half dog. His hair was purple and a short bob cut. His eyes are purple, and his canine ears and short tail were brown with tan ends. His face was dog-like, with a small black nose. He donned a royal purple coat with a white frill trim, white tights, white gloves, purple boots that can reach his knees, and a gold crown with a jewel of emerald green. Around his neck was a collar with a small green heart-shaped pendant.
I would like to present the loyal Prince Poochie from the Dog Kingdom,
King Cat announced, as the dog prince bowed to the princess and the Pratchetts.
He will accompany you in your adventures in any way he could. Of course, it would be nice for him if he knew you better.
I'm sure he would,
Princess Kitty said, bowing.
Maybe I'll show him around the city myself. He must be aware that this world is changing. I feel it in the earth underneath my feet. I feel it in the wind on my face. I even feel it in the seas underneath the heavens.
And always remember one more thing. Always remember what happened to the misunderstood creature who suddenly won the city over.
What happened?
It lived happily ever after, he said, reaching out for a hug, which she wrapped her arms around him and her mother.
Thank you, Father,
she said, before the family pushed her off and bowed. Owakare, my daughter, King Cat said. I'm certain that we'll meet again. And then they were gone, leaving her and the Pratchetts with the loyal Prince Poochie.
So now what, Your Highness?
He began.
You know, when I first heard of you without knowing what you really are, I expect you to be half Doberman, or half Poodle, or half Terrier.
Audrey giggles.
Okay, I was only kidding about the half Doberman part. Not very attractive, no. But at least something better,
he said.
Half Spaniel, maybe.
Princess K shook her head.
Don't tell me you have a grudge against cats, do you?
Just for the fact I've learned that cats are evil, he said. Well, almost all of them are. She placed a hand on his shoulder.
Maybe you'll warm up to me. Do you find me heinous?
Absolutely not, he said. Pretty sure I have a lot to learn about this place. I once came here before, but I was on the other side of the world. That was about a year ago. I'd be happy to tell you my story, just before you can tell me yours. I'm pretty sure that you're going to like Kodono, Prince, Grandpa Jack said. We'd be happy to tell you what it's like ourselves, don't we, Kitty?
That's right,
Princess K said.
One thing is absolutely certain. With me around, life had never been magical.
Oh, I'm sure it will be, Prince Poochie said. So what now, Kitty?
Why don't we head inside and talk about it?
She asked, before turning to the Pratchett's.
You have my turn to go home. We'll be fine out here by ourselves.
The Pratchett's all embrace her, before releasing her. All right, Todd said. You take care of yourself. The prince, too. We're so glad you belong here. As soon as the prince and princess saw them leave, she asked him,
By the way, should I call you Princey? Calling you Poochie would sound out of place.
He shrugs. If it's all right with me, it's all right with you. I don't even care if you call me Bingo or anything. Then he mutters, just as long as it sounds cute.
So, shall we head inside, Princey? Maybe later I can get you acquainted in the city, too. After all, we always have time to do that.
Do we?
You've been to this world a year before me, haven't you, Princey? If you're from the other side of this world, you know little or not of the place that I live. You know little or not of the city over the expanse of the great azure sea. Of the screams of joy and happiness that can be heard in the park as hundreds of children play and unwind, enjoying every second of their time there. Hopefully, you're welcomed with open arms, unlike me.
A bitter laugh escaped her.
With a little trust and faith in each other, we can do great things. To do so, we have to be naive. Now, am I saying we should forget the past if the present is improved? Well, if what I say is fact, then I'm the descendant of a salamander, because we can't ignore or forget what happened. But rather than hold on to all the pain and anger, we should let it go and become the change we want, rather than the change we wish to come to us. You depend on only me, Princey, and I'll show you everything. Continue showing the world what we can do. Just remember that there are so many people who, with a little bit of help and guidance, are happy to depend on what they can do. If this world can define who you are, and everything depends on what you can do, you should thank yourself that you exist. If there's a possibility for another adventure, your first time with me, I can't help but ask, where shall I go from here?
So they went inside their palace of supremacy. For now, they should be focusing on what's to come later in life, while relaxing and enjoying life around them, and not have to worry about anything at all. However, they don't know what's going to happen next, to be honest with you, my readers. Who knows? Chances are, it may be the start of a whole new adventure. This concludes Princess Kitty of KAWAII Wonderland. This work was written by Byron Kingsley and dramatized for audio by the author. This book is dedicated to my Siamese cat, Giblet, who died of old age on July 19th, 2018. during the 5-year period of writing this epic. This has been a Studio Kingsley production. Thank you for listening.